health, insurance, and retail domains. Zeba is known for her expertise in creating clear, user-focused documentation and her strength in strategic thinking and communication.
Today she'll speak on GitHub and AI, the latest to you, a timely and exciting subject. We are looking forward to learn how this powerful combination is transforming the way we work, collaborate, and innovate. Zeba, we are honored to have you with us. The stage is yours.
Hello guys, hello everyone. Am I audible? Am I visible with specs, without specs, with sleep, without sleep, however possible right now? Okay, cool. So I would like to ask a few things before we get into the duo. Tell me how many of you have never heard about GitHub? What is GitHub? Never. Okay, I'm glad. How many of you know a clear difference between what is Git and what is GitHub? Who knows? How many? Can you just give me like a quick answer?
Yeah, GitHub is actually the website that we are utilizing, and Git is basically within our computer. What else? Yeah, like that is a version control system. So yeah, that is a like Git is the remote thing that we are utilizing in the system. So
Okay.
like little bit only I know about
Oh,
it.
that's okay, that's okay,
Yeah.
that's okay. That's fine.
Just adding to that, GitHub is nothing but the repository where you push in and pull out whatever information you want. Whereas Git is just the interface where we create everything.
Okay. Okay. So my next question is, how many of you have used GitHub in your day-to-day work? Oh, nice. That's good. And how many of you have not used GitHub till today? Okay, almost equal response to both the questions. And my last question is, how many of you are scared of using GitHub with the view it brings of all the code and all the dark setup of using only, like, you know, the scary look of it, the terminal look of it, and you know the moment you click anything and you are gonna just, like, you know, spoil something or some code and you're gonna break something, right?
Good that they dropped the GitHub desktop, which is a GUI based version. That is good.
Oh, okay.
I used to use that black screen CLI version, but after that somebody told me that yeah, they have a desktop version which is completely Windows based. It's folder structure, everything.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Anjana. So yeah, so today I'm going to talk a little bit about what is Git, just to give like a base on to the people who don't know Git and have not used it earlier. Then I will be talking about what in a day-to-day life Git and GitHub usage looks like, where Git fits in doc as a code approach, and the rest we will be talking as usual about AI. It's like, you know, nobody else than tech writers love AI more than us, because we are at the same time scared, at the same time want to use it, at the same time want to utilize it in every possible way. So let me start this. So my first slide say GitHub, right? The basic understanding for GitHub is to understand that it is a platform. It was mainly initially started with people utilizing it for coding. It was more a developer oriented solution. I was even talking to somebody here and they were telling me how it was a developer oriented program that technical writers don't want to use it. And there are people who have come and made these changes in companies because they don't want to use a developer oriented program in itself, right? So what does GitHub do? It's a platform where we all can collaborate. Just imagine there is a team of 15 people spread all over the world. You want to work on a same project, but it's all different parts of your contribution that you're doing. So how do you do it? How do you manage it? In a platform like this, it becomes so much more easier. All 14, 15 or how many ever you guys are, you all work on it on the same time. You all can make your own changes, and the best part of this is no matter how scary it looks, it can be reversed. You can get back to the older version of it in case you make or commit some mistake that you thought you should not have done, right? So that's what Git is all about. It's a place where you all can collaborate, you can track all your changes. It's just like how we started using Google Doc because so many of us could contribute in the same document in some or the other way, right? Much more advanced version of that. So every change is remembered in this. Nothing gets lost, no matter who worked, from where they work, until they have the right access, they have the right ways in which they have worked, they are not going to break anything. Okay? So when we talk about Git, there are some basic words that comes in picture. I know Balaji was presenting some time back and he quite amazingly gave, showcased all the videos on which he was showing how do you create a GitHub account, how do you do all of these things. But for the basic setup, I would like to explain what is a repository, what is a commit, what is a branch when we talk about Git. So repository, as it very clearly shows, it's a folder where you are keeping all your files. Now that folder can contain everything possible that you need for a project, right? Everything possible. So your repo will have how your website will look like. It's YAML file, it's CSS file, whatever tooling specialized or website specialized, or whatever possible that you need to have for your project will be placed in something called as repository, right? Now the other word that we use very commonly is commit. What are you doing? Commit sounds something like, we are doing something unique. At the core of it, you are just saving your work. Okay? So when you are saving your work, commit, the unique thing of it is that you are also adding a message on what you have done, what change you've made. Right? Eventually I'll explain you how and why a commit, and the commit message is very important. But basically you are saving your work. You are just saying you have made so and so changes, and that's it, you save it. Now what is branch? Okay, a very simple example. Imagine I am going from here to Hyderabad, and in between comes Dharmavaram, that nothing else I can think of right now. So I choose to visit any place in Dharmavaram. Puttaparthi is there, right? Okay, so I choose to visit to that place, right? And I know that it's a highway that I have to be in, but I choose to reroute a little bit and then come back to the highway to go back to Hyderabad. That's exactly what we do when we create a branch from the main and we create our own stuff. We do whatever changes we want, and what we do at the end, we go back and match to the highway. Right? That is what. Main branch on which you have everything that's already published, that is already the core of the work, which has to go to the client or customer or whatever you want to call it, is a highway. But the new branch that you create is when you're detouring, you're doing your own changes, you're doing your own amendments, and then you're coming back again to the highway when you merge all of it with the main branch. Right? So these are some common terms. Branch gives you the chance to experiment, to do your own thing, and as I said, it's always reversible. So something that you think is not working in some of your experiment is not working out, you can always pull back all the changes and it's just as it was. Now where does GitHub fit in a doc as a code world? As we were listening to the first Balaji's presentation, doc as a code is an approach. Whenever today we are opening any job openings, there are some 5 to 10 requirements which is only asking for doc as a code approach. It has become like a very key term and a very pro term where people are like, no, do you know doc as a code approach? But where does Git fits in here? Where does VS Code fit in here? What is Markdown? What is all? So all these things are a part of doc as a code world. Okay? So when we say it's something that you write in a plain text format so that it's very easily editable, that comes in doc as a code world. Right? You are actually coding. You are actually doing things in a coding format and stored in a version control system. So it can be stored in various systems. One of it is GitHub. Tools like VS Code is where you do the changes and actually push it back, review and manage it, then you often publish it using CI/CD pipelines, right? So this is what Git and doc as a code approach. This is the picture of it. Because for me also earlier I was very I used to think a lot that what people are talking about. Okay, I know Git, but when they say doc as a code, do I really know it or not? Where does my concept of Git and doc as a code fit in? This is the entire picture of where Git fits, and this is the approach that people are talking about doc as a code. Now, what is the requirement behind talking about doc as a code? Because it becomes very easy for working with developers, working with project managers, product managers, working and collaborating with other teams. For example, API documentation, okay, that becomes very technical for all of us. Unless we know how to deal with API on a day-to-day basis or understand it fully, it's something that we don't want to touch because we don't understand it, right? So what happens when we work on something like Git, it becomes very easy to automate stuff like that. So for in our process, what we do is we pull the content from for the APIs mostly from whatever developers are working, because they are also working on GitHub. It helps you to collaborate with other teams. It's not that we are anti-developers or anything, right? We all are working together and we have to work together. So things like this helps us a lot. So the companies where things are much more technical and there is a huge team sitting who work on all these text editors, it allows us to collaborate much more smoothly. Now what a day looks like when you are using GitHub, right? The first thing that you do is you clone whatever repo is there. You have to clone it locally, bring it to your place. You make whatever changes or if you have already have it on your local, you pull the changes. You in a way you refresh it so that whatever changes were made to the main also comes in your local file, right? Now after that, what you do? You make your updates, right? You make whatever edits is required. You put a commit with a message. Commit with a message becomes important because there is a concept called as cherry picking. What is cherry picking? If I have made a commit and I know that this commit, I might use it for another project or another time if I need this entire piece of content as it is, all I need is just this commit and the code that every commit generates. If I can take that commit code and the commit message exactly as it is, that content can be copied in another branch or another repo. So that is where the commit message becomes very important, because unless you have made it very clear on what commit you have made, you cannot go into the deep ocean of number of commits that everybody has made to find out what you had added there, right? That is why commit message becomes very important. After your commit, you've saved your work basically. Now you push it to GitHub, everything goes to the cloud. What do you do next? Then you raise a pull request. When you raise a pull request, all you're telling is, I'll be explaining that in the further slides, but yeah, all you're telling is, okay, I have done so and so changes. Please check. To whomever you're saying it, but that's pull request. It requests you to merge your work. It is a request that you have generated that you want to merge your work to the main. Now at the end, after whatever process your company applies in between, then you merge, and the last one is that your doc gets published after the merge is successful and it's approved in all ends. Now we spoke about what is the repository, right? You can track your changes, you can add everything possible here on how your doc site will look like, what kind of color it will have, what kind of readme it will bring in, everything sits in here in a repository. Now I want to talk about how do you create one. We've already seen the video, I'll quickly go through this. You log into Git, and the first thing after your successful login, what you get is a dashboard. In that dashboard, there are multiple quick links that are provided for various things, but the first thing that you will see on the left is create a repository. So you create a repository by clicking on that. This is the page that opens, and it's a very self-explained thing. There are two things that I want to talk about here is what are the types of the repositories that we can create. There are basically two types. Either it is a public repo or it's a private repo. Public is where people from outside also will be able to be able to raise a pull request even though they are not a part of your organization, or maybe do not have the right access or whatever it is. I'll show you an example. And private is something that only people with the assigned access will be able to do it. So as an example, if you see, this is our website for Couchbase documentation. So the first thing that when you come on this page, you read the intro and you are like, okay, there is something that I think can be improved in here. There is something called as edit on GitHub. So every website that is public and which the base is on Git, you will have an option to be able to raise a request or raise a comment by clicking on that edit on GitHub. The moment you click on that, you go to the repo page, but you don't have access to anything that you are not supposed to be having access. The only option that you get is you get a chance to fork this repository, nothing else but create a branch, and then you make whatever changes is required, but it gets very clearly highlighted that you do not have the rights for here. You are submitting a change which will create a branch and it will go for the rights approvals. So that message is very clearly displayed. You make the required changes and then you commit the change with the right message. Now what happens after that? The moment you click on that commit, you come to a page like this where you are getting a chance to compare what was earlier, what change you have made. Now you raise a pull request, right? When you raise a pull request is when we are talking about the changes that you have requested going to the right authoritative people in the team for the approval. So as the point says, hey, check my work. So PR is nothing but telling it to your team, telling it to your stakeholders or whoever you want to showcase this, that I have made so and so changes, please check my work. You do all the commit message writing. You can even compare whether your base is the master or not, or if it is any other base on which you wanted to create your branch. All those kind of changes you can make in here, and then you can create a pull request by writing the right message here. The best practice is to write a very clear and message. If possible, add a small screenshot saying that you have made so and so changes. This is what the change will look like, right? So that helps you for the reviewer also to see the changes very clearly. If possible, generate a preview on what your help page will look like, add a screenshot there, and then you create a pull request. So there are various tools that you can use. Okay, you can use the UI, you can use VS Code itself. There is a GitHub desktop. There are many tools that you can use to work on Git. Yes, so here comes the main job snatchers, whatever we want to call the AI today. Okay, so what is it? But more than tagging AI to a lot of things that's happening currently, what is GitHub Copilot? The word Copilot itself means it's not a pilot, it's a co-pilot that you have. It's not you are the writer, you have an assistant, a very highly skilled, well-trained assistant sitting right next to you, telling you what you can do, how you can make your work better. There are people who would blindly are going to generate everything from that and are going to use as it is. There are high chances of many people doing that, but the ideal scenario would be you doing the content generation part, you are writing it, drafting it and everything, and then your co-pilot helps you, suggests you, because it is trained on billions and billions lines of code. So when we will see some demo, you will see how it really, it just helps you to understand even the content that you are working on. So for me, on a daily basis, if I'm working on something as complicated as a column-based database system, right? There are so many snippets, there are so many code that is a part of documentation itself. Now, how do I know what that code is all the time? It's not at all possible for you to know every code piece that is a part of your documentation. But Copilot being in place, it helps you understand all the technicalities that you have in documentation. So tomorrow, going forward, we can't say that I don't understand the technology or I don't understand the domain, but I'm working as a technical writer. Because there is somebody who can explain you. So if you're really willing to work, if you're really willing to take that kind of guidance, your guide is sitting right next here. So it not just helps you, it might go 3 steps ahead and starts writing for you on your behalf also. It is just a tab away. So you keep pressing tab and I'll show you the demo, and it's quite interesting to see that how it is telling you, thinking way ahead than what you are thinking about your own documentation, right? So it auto completes a lot of work that is there. It auto suggests also. It can even tell you that you have something in place, you want to complete the code further for it. It will complete on your behalf. It is just the prompt that you put in and it finishes it for you, right? It also fills in the repetitive information that is there, and you can take suggestions. You can take a lot of responses that you are not able to think, or you don't have the bandwidth to take so much time to do something. This is the kind of support. So I'll share my tool that I have here. Okay. Let me see if I can make it. Is it more visible now?
Yes.
I don't know why it is not. It's just going out from the range once again. No, it's not showcasing the complete screen. I'll just try one thing. Wait. Okay. It's clear now. Okay. So. So this is how usually a Visual Studio Code look like. This is where the editor that you have a support of Copilot right now that I was talking about. And Copilot is not something that you can use only on VS Code. It is something that you can set up in your GitHub account itself. And the moment you initially you can start a free trial, and it is very, very easy to explore it around. But what I'm trying to say here is GitHub is associated with your, Copilot is associated with your GitHub account, not with any tool that you're using. So the moment you activate it, no matter what tool you will be using further, it can be extended to that. There are options on the GitHub site, and you can activate it accordingly. So now my first prompt that I would like to give . Sorry, a little with the Mac and window difference. So I'm giving a prompt that writing a sample README file for a new software tool. Okay, let's see what it gives. You see here, I have not even given anything else than just one line of statement asking what it needs to do. Right? What I just need a sample README file, and it has already generated all the important things that goes in README. Right? So it is a feature, it's an installation. So at times it happens, right, that for us when we are working in a certain kind of documents which we have not worked earlier, what happens then? I don't want to keep going and asking people, okay, I'm working on README for the first time. Can you, can you explain on what all are the key features that I should have, or what all are the headings or the topics that I should have in it, right? All of that time is gone now with these kind of support. You don't even have to open like a new window somewhere else on the browser or anything. It's right sitting next to you. So you just type it and it helps. There are things like, for example, working on GitHub, there are some basic steps we have to do. I'm sure most of you will be aware. We have to, as I was explaining, we have to clone, we have to pull, we have to push the changes, we have to commit the changes. All these things can also be automated using Copilot. Right? It's very, very simple to do that. The main thing is that this Copilot helps you with your day-to-day work in ways that, and it's endless. You can explore to whatever need you have at present. And it's something that an organizational approval is required before you embed these AI into your work tool. But that's how it goes. Okay, I'll show you another sample. Okay, so one sec, I missed one thing. Now I have this generated here, right? Now how do I make it as a part of the document that I'm working on? So there are these three icons that gets pops up immediately after the result is generated. It tells that either you apply it in the editor directly, or wherever you have, wherever the cursor is at present, you can insert it there, or you can just copy this content and paste it. So if I just tell it to insert at the cursor, it will, just with one click, it has already added this entire piece in the file that you were working on. Right? Now let's look at the next one. Generate a sample, change from. Generate a sample changelog in Markdown format. Right? This is a very simple prompt that I have provided, and it allows you, with the right kind of answers, it allows you to make whatever changes is required as per your work. And you can either, there are at times that you might just use the exact same format and add the content in there, or you can change the format based on whatever it is required. But there is somebody sitting next to you doing the research, a very well-trained professional personal secretary doing most of the work, and then you come in as like the head chef and just put the cherry on top of the cake, or maybe do like some nice garnishing to the dish and just serve it. Right? So but at the end of the day, it's the chef's skill that is required to be able to make it what customer needs. So similarly, we do have all the help that we need today. So AI is not just doing a lot of things. It completely depends on what kind of responsibility and accountability we are ready to hold to be able to utilize what is provided to us. Correct? Now one last prompt I would take. We will give them some time to, after the quiz, to eat the chocolate. Okay, so the last prompt that I'm giving it here is create a sample glossary table in Markdown. You see? if you have your entire documentation in place to create a glossary, to create like all of these kind of things which you know that would require hours of manual work to be able to pick things, to be able to write things, it's like a crazy amount of work when we have to actually do it. But when you know that your documentation is in place, your content is in place, and then all you have to do is just write a prompt and it does it for you. It is saving you. It's not that it's going to do your job. You have to give the prompt. Once it does, you can use your time much more effectively in fine-tuning what goes to the customer and maybe utilizing it for a lot more deep thinking rather than doing this taxing job of manually entering everything, creating tables like this. I remember when I started using GitHub, I'm talking about 4 years back, in my previous company, when I joined, I was working with a senior manager and she was an expert on Git, okay? And I, like a silly new joiner in the office, trying to justify how easy it is to work on Word, okay? And I'm like, I'm gonna give you all my changes on Word and it will be so easy, you can review it, you can add comment, and she's like, you're not understanding what I was saying, but start creating pull requests, it will be so much more easier. I'll tell you how to do it. And it's just like a 5 minutes job. Don't get so scared. And I'm like, no, I'm doing it on Word and you're reviewing it on Word and then we will see how it goes. And I feel so silly of that time when today I am presenting on that topic. If I tell her, she would first laugh and she would be like, okay, cool. So it was as scary as that. I avoided using VS Code for a very, very long time because I do not understand terminal. I do not understand the scary look of those codes. The moment it is open, I am already shut, like I can't understand it. But eventually when you use it, it becomes a day-to-day habit. Creating tables becomes easier, and with this kind of support, it's so much more easier today. Right? So I'll show you one more thing. Now here, for example, we have installation, right? Okay, so there is something that needs to be added. Okay, so I don't know why it is not appearing now, or maybe it's the internet speed that I have on my phone. The moment you click enter and you come to a new line, Copilot prompts you on what to write, reading this heading that is there. It actually gives you an intro. It actually gives you a paragraph entirely about the topic that you're talking. And if you have listed 10 points as a feature of any product that you're writing about, and when you click enter after the 10th point, it will be prompting you the 11th point. You click tab, you come down, it will give you explanation of that point. It is as crazy as that. So that is why I am saying that it is something that is a huge advantage for us to be able to utilize, and in not just like once in a while. This is like on your day-to-day job if you are using GitHub. Okay, so I'll use this. So there is a small activity, right, where I would want you guys to scan this, and there are a list of things that's there. Whatever you have done on that, whatever you have experienced on Git, you can just tick that, or whatever you understand what is written there. And I want to see who's the Git expert in this room. We'll be able to find out after this quiz. Are you able to scan? Okay. Are you able to see the quiz? That's okay. Whatever you understand, just this will actually show probably the king in the room. I want to see who is that. There are a lot of scary, terms and statements mentioned there, which you would really think twice before doing it.
Some of the situations I've already encountered.
Yes. Lot of situation, practical situation where you will think before you even click next or what? What is that?
How much yours? Yours? 5.
Because I said no to everything.
Yeah. Yes.
Now we're using Copilot to generate all these basic things that we need.
So in this Copilot, so you have
No, just give it a shot. Give it a shot. Even if you've not used GitHub, give it a shot. It's something that we just spoke about from morning and now.
Because but in Copilot at least we can put in pattern which is new.
Even you have not used GitHub earlier, you can still go ahead and take this.
No, the information comes better in chat.
It's all
So, any of you have got to try should actually a lot of refinement that's done
Yes.
from that engine to this.
I see some experts on Git here has already answered
I
and
feel the difference because I used GitHub over a year,
That's where you are
both in assisted and standalone. Whereas
so much chocolates in place after the quiz is done. Anyone left?
when you start.
Oh, you are.
So it actually feels
That's even scary.
yeah, that is scarier, but it is all about how you prompt. It's like no wonder they actually call it prompting and narrative. And it's like eventually how you are actually talking to somebody.
Anyone
Like
who needs some
over
more
a period
time
of
or
time
we
when there
can
are these iterations, so come out with the 10th iteration and then that is what you want and that's the desired result.
And that's what sometimes people have all the questions that you ask. You have picked that all up and create an agent of it. That's where even agent AI work is for us.
It's done. Anyone still doing? Excuse me. Anyone still doing? Cool. So can we see the answers? No, sorry. I'll get you chocolate next time. Okay, so Vaibhav is, yeah, that's all. Oh, did you want it? Okay, he got the maximum score, but he's not getting the chocolate, unfortunately. So, yeah, so out of the 16 questions, right? 16 out of 16 for him. That he's actually Okay, so next is Weber. 14 out of 16. He's actually worked on these. Then we have Balaji and Karunaharan, right? I didn't want to pronounce it wrong, sorry. Yes, this way. Thank you guys. So any questions before we head out for tea? Yes.
So, Zeba, you said that some of the things we can automate.
Yeah.
So, correct me if I misunderstood. You said some of the commands, the basic commands, are that we can automate.
Yes.
So, can you list down some that we can, other than normal full command that we usually happen to miss?
So I have the master slide that gets shared with everybody has the list of commands.
That we can automate.
Yes. Yes. It has the there are some basics. So see what you can automate is something that you're repetitively doing it again and again after every work you do, right? So those kinds are mostly basic commands.
Yeah.
You can't automate something that you're using once in a while unless like entire team is using and it's taking more time and stuff like that. So the basic ones, it's listed and it will be shared.
Thank you so much.
Zeba,
Hi. Hi. Yes.
Okay, so when you were showing there that an example for a glossary, table of glossary. So when the result which was showed, obviously it was just not a random sample. It was actually taking information from the document and then it was listing the glossary, or it was just a random.
Right. Now it was random.
But when you are working on GitHub, it will give you exactly, it will read through your document, may probably take for example some CLI document you have created and you want to create a glossary for it. So it will have access to the document, it will go through the document and come up with the terms, glossary terms, and it will give you the meaning of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, so in that case, it is almost doing 90% of the job of a tech writer, right? And any developer, if he can just write, create a glossary using the standard technical writing, definitely it can do that, no?
See, definitely. It is going to do. The way it is responding to your prompt, it will respond to his prompt also.
Yes.
But the thing is that are they developers who want to do it?
Okay. So
No, they are. What I am trying to say here is, be it developer, be it technical writers, be it anybody. What time it is saving for us, we can utilize it watching a Netflix series. We can utilize it doing some more deep thinking on certain topics. For example, if I'm working on a CLI document and I'm not very thorough with the product, I can utilize the time learning the product rather than creating a glossary. That's the kind of time saving I'm talking about. If the developer want to do it, please go ahead, do it, generate the glossary and send. But at the end, still you are the one who can actually pinpoint a lot of style related issues that they won't be able to do it. Right? As I give example for the API documentation, for us, we just have to run a read-only command and it automatically generates the API documentation for us. But that does not get published. We have to work on that. We have to ensure that that is what our users are looking for. We have to make the right kind of changes that is required for the organization to achieve its goal and its purpose. All that we can do. But we've automated it, it is generating, so even if it's like a low standard document, they can just publish it as it is also.
I would just like to add on this that use this one. I would just like to add here is that AI or agents also hallucinate, right? So whatever you give there, it might happen that the information you give is not going to be 100% accurate. You have to make sure that you review it and review it from the point of view of also what your technical style guide is, what are the terms that you're using, and again the accuracy, because we use Copilot and it does hallucinate. It also depends on the prompts that you're asking, and it learns from the prompts. You or yourself have to learn from the prompt, and you have to give as much details as possible in the prompt to make sure that you get the right answer. And even in that, you have to refine it. So if our 90% job of actual new draft creation is done, the other part is where editors were involved when we were reviewing everything. Maybe that part is what we now need to do.
Completely agree. Thank you. So the more prompts we are giving, the more trained it gets. The more trained it gets, the more fine answers you are going to get. Still, you are needed in between to understand if it is doing the right job or not. Right? So we are getting a chance to upskill ourselves, upgrade ourselves. Why not use it for that than actually manually creating all these tables and glossary and indexes that we are talking about?
Just want to add.
See, most of us here, tech writers, have this problem that we are losing the job, right? So essentially, AI is doing a lot of work, but I don't know how many of you attended. I know some of you attended the session that happened at Wordfix last month. The data science head from Documentation 360, he spoke, and he gave a nice term which I wanted to popularize among the tech writing community. I think even Tanuja and Diana are talking about gatekeepers, right? So, alternative term, best term to use is truth keepers. So that's what he said. Tech writers are the truth keepers. So if you even AI produces anything, it hallucinates, it predicts, whatever it does, ultimately it rests on our responsibility to make sure it is right and it is truthful. So that responsibility is on technical writers, and we alone can do that. That's what he said. Because he's a data scientist and he's been in the industry for 30 years now. So he said, your job is not going well. We need you. So let's popularize this term, truth keepers. So just to add to that, my idea was I split that into two sections. One is truth seekers and truth keepers. So we are truth keepers. Okay. Okay, you can put anybody there. Right? Truth seekers. Consumers, users, everybody's.
So yes, so the reason why I wanted to do this presentation specifically is the title itself, GitHub is not scary. Like, I came to this with that mindset that it is actually scary. Like, in our childhood, sometimes our parents didn't want us to go to a certain area, right? Or maybe some elders or our elder siblings, they would fool us. There is a ghost there, don't go there. There is a ghost, there is a ghost. And we would keep believing there is a ghost and we never enter. But the moment you enter, you know there is nothing. They were just hiding their stuff and they didn't want us to go and see what is there. So it's just like that. The moment you start exploring, it is so much more easier. It is so much more adaptable. You will also see the change in the way we are getting response during collaborations. Developers would respond better. I can, like that change I have seen, the shift I have seen so much more. And there is one more aspect to it is, the kind of prompts that you give, the response also depends if your documentation is public or not. How much of research can it do if your documentation is not public, right? So it can read whatever you have, maybe on the file open or maybe on the repo max, right? What more? But documentation which is public, out there, open, published, that prompts will be different because it can do that kind of study for you and compared to the private repos that we have. Yeah. So explore it once. Don't let the Dockers code and the GitHub and the VS Code terminal view scare you anymore. Just try your hands-on. It is very nice. It will also help you feel a little more comfortable. It's very easy to install. It is very easy to create your own account. Try your hands-on. Speak to people. Ask questions on the groups if you are not able to clear. Reach out to the experts who are here. You saw the faces who received chocolates, right? Track them down and find out your answers if you have any questions. Thank you guys. Thank you so much.